I'm Mike Gelfman, and I'm founder of the Disruption Institute. Today we've got an awesome guest for Streetcar Stories. It's been in the works for a long time, really excited about it. John Cook is the CEO of VML, which is a global marketing agency, but it's headquartered here in Kansas City. Today they have 2,500 employees across 6 continents and 28 offices. We're going to be talking with him about entrepreneurship and leadership, how culture is so important to VML in what they're trying to do every single day. This is a huge success story for Kansas City, and I think the big thing is here, it's like anything's possible, and you know, if John can do it, why can't you? This is episode 20 of Streetcar Stories.
It's been a great 20-year ride, and it all, first of all, happened really fast. Like it seems like just yesterday I was starting at VML, but you know, as soon as I start thinking about the last 20 years, my immediate thought is, you know what, right now is the most exciting time it's ever been. I don't take that for granted, because I think you could. I think 20 years could be a time to just think historically. 20 years makes me think more about the future than it does the past. It's interesting, it speaks to the power of Disney that for 3 months of my 26 years working, it's one of the most impactful periods of my working life. And the thing I'll never forget about Disney is them preaching how high the expectation was for a guest coming to Disney World. And if you think about it, the amount of anticipation families have for going there, it's sky high. What they would say is, we need to exceed an already super high expectation. And I think that's something we've done a really good job at VML. We're an ad agency. We're dealing with some really fun stuff. If we're not the best part of somebody's day, we're doing something wrong. And so our job is exceeding an already high expectation, and that's not easy because we've created a great reputation, and we don't want to hit that. We want to exceed that, and that's what Disney taught me. The pride that we have about what grew was that we kept a culture and a spirit and a connectivity between all those different countries and cities that led to a better perspective. The best companies are the ones that actually encourage people to contribute parts of their geography or their personality into something that makes everybody better, and then contributes to the overall cocktail that is the company culture and the company perspective. And then to go that next level, and I think that's where we are now, and that is the next level of that is, how do we take that perspective that we gain and put it into all of the work? Even if the opportunity isn't something that's global, how do you have your work and your technology and your creativity and your imagination reflect a heightened sense of perspective? That's what we're not perfect there yet, but that's where we're going. Yeah, well, Relay the Way. The way that came about, I think, is typical of when we do our best work at VML. And when somebody says to us, solve the mission, and we can bring technology, creativity, imagination to it, the work then it gets so good. And that's, I think, a great idea for Relay the Way was born, because there was no limits on the creativity we had to do it. And that's what ultimately led to the impact of a lot of money raised, but more importantly, a lot of awareness around Kansas City that wouldn't have happened without the ability to just tear loose with our imagination. I love our city because it never stops evolving. And as somebody who's lived here my whole life, I can see the evolution so specifically, and I get chills thinking about, hey, what we're doing at VML, and myself personally, and a lot of people that are good friends there, we're making a difference, and we're changing the city you grew up in, and that's a cool thing. And when you're sitting in an office of VML somewhere else in the world, and know that this place is headquartered back in a city that you grew up in, it's something I hope I never take for granted. I know I never will. People have been waiting for something purposeful and relevant to test that technology and bring people together. So I love that we finally got something. I think it's great that it's something as whimsical as Pokémon, but every great piece of technology or development or trend needs something to spark it in the public eye, and what better than Pokémon to do that? So it brings together ages, it brings together multiple ages' views of technology and how to use it, and every time something like that happens, even if it's something whimsical, it leads to an application that's going to be much more purposeful down the road. And so I think it happens to be Pokemon that's catching the attention. It's going to lead to something extremely purposeful because of the millions of people who understand the technology. Yeah, I like the app. I think it's, you know, well, first of all, it's easy to use. It's good on awareness. I think one of the biggest questions people have about Streetcar is just where I can find it and where I can get on. And it's just basic level stuff. I like that the app just took care of that stuff right off the bat, and instead of trying to overcomplicate with stuff that it went right to the heart of what users need right now. You know, I think the biggest area of improvement is getting it on Android. And because I asked around at the office, said, hey guys, who's using the app? You know, all the iOS guys love it, but all the Android guys said, hey, if you have a chance to talk to Streetcar guys, tell them to get it on Android and get it there fast. So you'll have some more success once you do that. No, it's good. It's a perfect start.